Have you ever seen how the more you run after peace, love, or success, the faster they slip away? You keep trying to fix your world, manage every little thing, and force every result. You plan, you push, you count, you compare, and still, the harder you hold on, the quicker it all fades through your hands. It's like grabbing water with a fist. It spills, it vanishes, and all you're left with is tiredness. We live in a time that praises the chase. Chase the dream, the lover, the better version of yourself. But nobody says that the chase itself is the trap. The mind thinks that if it keeps running, it will reach a better place. But Buddhism quietly says something different. Pain doesn't come from life itself. It comes from the hunger to make life another way. You don't hurt because you don't have enough. You hurt because you can't let go. You hold on to how things should be, who should remain, what should turn out. That holding tight builds pressure, a knot in the mind that pulls tighter each time life moves somewhere else. What if peace isn't something to chase, but something to remember? What if the calm you've been running after was never gone, just hidden beneath the noise of trying too much? The Buddha once said, "When you release what you think you need, what truly belongs to you will come on its own." That isn't weakness, it's real strength. Because the moment you stop wrestling with life, life starts reaching out to you. Stay with me, because what comes next isn't about quitting your dreams. It's about easing the chase, returning to a flow where things unfold on their own, in their right moment, with quiet peace. We spend our days trying to manage it all, our goals, our looks, our feelings, even how others see us. We tell ourselves that if we just hold everything together, we'll finally feel safe. But control doesn't give safety. It builds pressure, the endless effort to guard what was never truly ours. Control grows from fear, fear of losing what we love, fear of being forgotten, fear that if we stop trying, everything will break apart. But have you seen how the tighter you grip, the weaker things become? Love suffocates, creativity dries, happiness fades. Because when fear drives your actions, peace doesn't come closer. Fear does. You give off the energy of not having enough, and life mirrors that same feeling back to you. In Buddhism, this repeating loop is called dukkha, the unease born from fighting what is. The more we hold tight to our desires or push away what we dislike, the deeper our pain grows. It's like trying to hold back the waves with your hands. The sea won't follow your command. It moves to an ancient rhythm, wiser and greater than any human wish. Think of a butterfly. The harder you run after it, the farther it flies. But when you sit still, calm and open, it gently lands on you by itself. Life moves in the same way. When you stop forcing results and make room for things to happen naturally, the right moments arrive on their own, soft, effortless, and true. Letting go of control doesn't bring disorder. It means trust. It means allowing life to breathe again, to flow as it was always meant to. The universe doesn't need your constant interference. It needs your openness. When you relax your grip, you create space for harmony, to return the natural order that has always been guiding you, waiting patiently beneath the noise of your fear. So, breathe. Loosen your hands. The world doesn't fall apart when you stop controlling it. It begins to come together. There comes a moment when you realize that forcing life no longer works. You've tried to plan, to push, to make things happen faster, yet the more you demand, the less peace you feel. Letting go isn't about abandoning your dreams. It's about releasing the pressure that strangles them. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Because peace doesn't arrive when everything is perfect. It arrives when you stop trying to control perfection. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means giving space. Space for clarity, for timing, for grace. When you stop grasping so tightly, you create room for life to breathe. And in that stillness, what is meant for you begins to move closer, not because you chase it, but because you finally stop blocking it. Think of your life as a garden. You plant the seed, you water it, you nurture it. But if you keep digging it up every day to check if it's growing, you kill what you're trying to protect. Growth happens beneath the surface, in silence, unseen. The soil doesn't rush. It trusts the rhythm of seasons, the sun, the rain, the waiting. All of it plays its part. Your only task is to tend, to care, to trust. So ask yourself, what are you overwatering right now? Which dream are you drowning with your need for control? Which relationship are you suffocating by trying to make it bloom faster? Sometimes love needs air, sometimes success needs silence, and sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do for your own path is to step aside and let it unfold without interference. In Buddhism, we call this the middle way, not clinging, not rejecting, but resting in the gentle space between. It's the art of effort without tension, of movement without struggle. When you let go, you don't lose direction. You regain balance. Letting go is an act of deep faith. Faith in yourself, in time, in the invisible intelligence that guides all things. When you release the need to control how life unfolds, you align with the same force that makes flowers open and rivers flow. You stop trying to be the gardener and remember you are also part of the garden. So breathe deeply. Loosen the knots in your chest. What is meant for you will not miss you, not if you learn to wait with an open heart. The seed already knows how to grow. All it needs is your patience, your silence, and your trust. Ethan had built his life around the idea that effort could conquer anything. He woke before the sun, worked through the night, and measured his worth by the number of emails sent and deals closed. Every success around him became a silent comparison, proof that he wasn't moving fast enough. He kept tightening the schedule, adding more pressure, pushing harder, believing that the universe would eventually reward his persistence. But instead, it broke him. One morning, sitting in front of his computer, he realized he could no longer feel anything, not joy, not excitement, not even fear, just emptiness. So he did something that terrified him more than failure. He stopped. He sold his company, left the city, and spent a month in silence by the sea. The first few days were unbearable. Without the noise of deadlines, he was forced to face the inside. The mind kept whispering, "You're falling behind. You're losing everything." But as the days passed, something softened. He began to notice the rhythm of the waves, their effortless return, again and again. The tide didn't rush. The ocean didn't worry about success. It simply moved in harmony with itself. And in that stillness, Ethan saw the truth. He had never been chasing success. He had been running away from his own emptiness, trying to fill it with achievements. 6 months later, without forcing, without striving, a new idea came to him, simple, honest, and aligned with his heart. He started again, this time from peace, not pressure. And when people asked how he finally found success, he smiled and said, "It came the moment I stopped needing it, because that's how life works. When the storm inside you quiets, the path ahead becomes clear. The moment you stop demanding from life, life begins to answer gently in its own perfect time." Maya had spent years searching for love as if it were a finish line she had to cross. Every message, every date, every silence in between became a small measure of her worth. She thought if she just kept trying, kept perfecting herself, kept reaching out, she would finally be chosen. But the more she searched, the lonelier she felt, because deep down, what she was really looking for wasn't another person. It was a place to rest, a reflection that told her she was already enough. One morning, after another sleepless night of scrolling and comparing, she felt something shift. a quiet exhaustion that said, "I can't keep chasing this anymore." So she stopped. She deleted every app, booked a small cabin by the mountains, and went alone. The first few days felt strange. The silence was heavy, the stillness uncomfortable. But as the noise of expectation faded, something began to bloom in its place. She started to feel at home in her own presence. She would sit by the window in the early mornings, listening to the sound of rain, sipping tea without hurry. There was no one to impress, no one to wait for, only herself. And in that solitude, she discovered something sacred. Peace was not the absence of love, it was the foundation of it. She learned to listen to her breath, to enjoy her laughter, to forgive her loneliness. And then, when she was no longer searching, life quietly brought someone across her path in a small cafe over a simple exchange about books and coffee. It wasn't dramatic or cinematic. It was natural, calm, real, because love arrives not when you're completed, but when your energy says, "I am whole." In her stillness, love didn't complete her. It joined her. Two souls, not to fill a void, but to walk together gently, freely, and in peace. Letting life flow is not something you do, it's something you allow. It begins the moment you stop running away from what is, the moment you turn toward your own experience and look at it without judgment. Observe, don't react. Notice what you crave and how that craving tightens your breath, your shoulders, your chest. Every desire has a physical echo, a place where the body whispers, "I'm afraid." You don't have to silence that fear, you only have to see it clearly. When you name your fear, you take away half its power. I'm afraid this won't happen. I'm afraid they'll leave. I'm afraid I'm not enough. When you say it softly, not as a confession but as recognition, the storm inside begins to lose its strength. Fear thrives in shadows. Awareness is the light that dissolves it. Then accept where you are, not as punishment, as preparation. The present moment is not an obstacle to overcome. It is the ground that will grow what comes next. Every delay, every detour, every quiet season is teaching you something the noise could never reveal. In Buddhism, this is the practice of samasati right mindfulness, the art of meeting life exactly where it is, not where you wish it to be. When the mind runs ahead, bring it gently back. Ask, what can I do well right now? It could be something small, washing a dish, breathing deeply, sending kindness to someone who crosses your thoughts. The mind will resist. It loves the illusion of control, but the present moment asks nothing of you except your full attention, and always before you act, breathe. The pause between impulse and action is where wisdom lives. One conscious breath can change the direction of a day. It's in that pause that anger turns into understanding, that fear becomes clarity, that reaction transforms into response. Letting life flow doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care with balance, with gentleness, without clinging. You become like the river, moving, but not in a hurry, strong, but never rigid. You trust that the current knows the way, even when you cannot see around the bend. So, take a slow breath now. Feel the air fill your lungs, then let it leave without resistance. That's what surrender feels like. A rhythm, a release, a quiet return to harmony. Every time you breathe with awareness, you remind life that you are no longer fighting it, you are flowing with it. Every path of awakening meets resistance, not from the world, but from within. The moment you start loosening your grip, the ego begins to tremble. It whispers, "If I'm not in control, who am I?" This is the first obstacle, the fear of losing control. The ego survives by steering, by defining, by insisting that it knows what's best. But in truth, it's like a frightened child holding the wheel of a vast ship, panicking at every wave. You don't need to silence that child. You only need to take its hand and whisper, "It's safe now, you can rest." Life has been sailing long before you arrived, and it knows the way home. Then comes impatience. The mind wants everything now. It confuses movement with progress, speed with growth. But the truth is, all that is real unfolds slowly. Just as fruit ripens only in its season, wisdom matures in stillness, not in haste. You can't pull on a flower to make it bloom faster, it only breaks. The more you rush the process, the further you drift from its beauty. Let yourself ripen at your own pace. Every delay is a gesture of grace, shaping you in ways that instant gratification never could. Next is pride, that subtle voice that says, if I let go, I'll look weak. If I stop fighting, I'll be defeated. But surrender isn't weakness, it's strength in its purest form. It's the courage to stand unguarded in front of life and say, I trust you. To yield is not to collapse, it's to align with a power larger than your own. The bamboo bends with the wind and survives the storm. The rigid tree resists and breaks. True strength is flexible, it flows, it listens, it trusts. And then there is attachment, the most tender of all obstacles. We cling not because we love deeply, but because we fear emptiness. We think that without this person, or this dream, this identity, we will disappear. But emptiness in Buddhist teaching is not nothingness. It is spaciousness, the vast open sky where new life can arise. When you release your hold, what remains is not loss, but freedom. You begin to see that love doesn't need possession to exist, that peace doesn't depend on control, that meaning is born not from having more, but from being fully here. Each of these obstacles, fear, impatience, pride, attachment, are not enemies to defeat, but teachers to understand. They appear not to punish you, but to purify you. They show you where you still grasp, where you still doubt, where you still forget your own vastness. When you meet them with compassion, they soften. Letting go, then, is not passive. It is active trust. It is choosing, again and again, to walk with life instead of against it. To say, I don't know where this path leads, but I will walk it with open eyes. To replace control with curiosity, tension with faith, resistance with surrender. So, when fear rises, bow to it. When impatience burns, breathe into it. When pride stiffens, smile gently. When attachment pulls, let your fingers unclench one by one. This is how freedom begins, not in dramatic leaps, but in small, tender acts of release. The moment you stop wrestling with life, you discover that it was never your opponent, it was always your teacher. There comes a day when the questions begin to fade, when the restless voice that once whispered, "When will it happen? Why not yet?" grows quiet. It doesn't disappear all at once. It softens, like the echo of a wave returning to the sea. And in its place, another voice arises, calm and certain. Whatever comes, I'll meet it with peace. That is the moment your life begins to change, not on the outside, but within. This stillness is not resignation, it's revelation. It's the instant when you finally understand that the universe has never been against you. It's been waiting for you to stop struggling long enough to listen. The energy shifts subtly, yet completely, from grasping to allowing, from demanding to trusting. You stop reaching forward and start opening inward. And suddenly, what once ran from you, the opportunities, the clarity, even love begins to return, not because you chased it, but because you became a space where it could rest. Imagine a lake after a storm. The waves settle and slowly the surface clears. When the sky settles, its reflection appears clearly on the surface of the water. The same happens inside you when you stop stirring your mind with worry and control. The world doesn't shift. Your way of seeing it does. What has always existed finally comes into view. This is the quiet pause Buddhism speaks of. the space between holding on and waking up. It isn't loud or grand. It doesn't make an entrance. It's a soft stillness that surrounds you like gentle air after rain. You might sense it while doing something simple, washing dishes, walking outside, or talking with someone, when suddenly your heart feels light and free. That is peace returning. In that calm, you understand that life never needed your constant control. The river flows without being pushed. The flowers don't bloom faster just because you worry. What life asks from you is presence, a quiet readiness to move with its rhythm, not over it. And here's the strange truth. The moment you stop chasing outcomes, you begin to draw them in. You attract what matches your truth because you no longer send out the feeling of lack. You become whole, open, and alive. You stop reaching from need and start glowing with peace, and peace naturally gathers harmony around it. So let stillness come to you. Don't chase it. It's already waiting beneath the noise. Sit, breathe, and listen. The moment you stop asking when and start trusting now, life begins to move again. Easy, natural, and full of grace, just as it was always meant to. When you stop chasing, something beautiful unfolds. You don't lose your drive. You lose your restlessness. You still walk toward your dreams, but your steps feel lighter, your breathing smoother, your heart at ease. You start to see what you once hurried past. The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the rhythm of your breath, the gentle kindness hidden in an ordinary day. Life stays the same, but the way you meet it changes completely. This is harmony, not the end of motion, but peace inside it. You take action, yet without grasping. You reach forward, but without fear. You care fully, yet remain open. Like a dancer trusting the song, you stop counting each beat and simply move with it. That is what it means to live in tune with life's rhythm. Peace was never something missing. It was only something covered by noise. Beneath the rush of wanting and expecting, there has always been a quiet stillness, patient and steady, waiting for you to notice it again. When the waves of desire settle, the reflection clears. All that you were chasing was already here. You don't need to control life to receive what it offers. You only need to stop resisting its flow. Let the current of existence guide you. It already knows the way far better than you ever could. Every rise and fall, every meeting and goodbye, every quiet space between, all of it belongs to one sacred flow. So move softly now. Let each moment be complete on its own. Breathe in gratitude, breathe out release. The more you trust this natural rhythm, the lighter life begins to feel. You're no longer the one running after peace. You are the peace life has been reaching for all along. Take a slow breath. Let the air drift through you, smoothing the sharp edges of your thoughts. Feel your body resting on the earth, safe, grounded, fully here. Let your hands open, palms upward, empty yet filled with quiet possibility. Whisper to yourself, not as hope, but as truth waking within. I trust the pace of my life. Trust that what hasn't come is still making its way. Trust that what has gone was never meant to remain. And trust that where you stand now is where growth quietly begins. With each breath, you're already returning to calm, to clarity, to your own center. You never had to chase peace. You only had to stop running from it. If these words brought you stillness, leave a leaf emoji, a small sign of balance and gentle faith. Share this calm with someone who's been trying too hard. And remember, when you stop searching, what you need softly finds its way to you, because peace was never lost. It was only waiting for you to be still enough to feel it.